Hello, my friend. Let me tell you something that changed everything for me. And I mean everything. You know that feeling when you look at successful people and think, how do they do it? What's their secret? I used to feel that way too. I'd see someone crushing it in their career, someone with incredible health, someone with amazing relationships, and I'd wonder what massive thing they did differently. Here's the truth that nobody tells you. It wasn't massive at all. In fact, the answer was so small, I almost missed it entirely. And once I discovered it, I realized I'd been approaching my entire life the wrong way. I was looking for the big moment, the grand gesture, the life-changing event. But real transformation, it happens in whispers, not screams. Imagine this. You're standing on a beach, watching the ocean. A single grain of sand falls from your hand. Did it change the beach? No. But what if you dropped a grain every single day? What if millions of people did the same? Eventually, you'd have an entirely new coastline. That's what we're talking about here. Not the butterfly effect. Forget butterflies for a second. Think about ripples. One tiny stone dropped in still water creates ripples that spread farther than you can see. Your life works the same way. This is about the ripple effect, and you're about to learn how to create waves. Chapter 1. The ripple effect, when small becomes unstoppable. Picture this moment with me. It's 1961. A mathematician named Philip Klein is running weather simulations on an early computer. He decides to rerun a sequence, but instead of starting from the beginning, he starts midway through. To save time, he rounds a number from 0.506127 to 0.506. That's it. A difference of 0.000127. A rounding error so small, you'd think it wouldn't matter at all. But when he came back an hour later, the weather prediction had completely diverged. What was supposed to be sunshine became a storm. What should have been calm became chaos. That tiny, almost invisible change created an entirely different outcome. Klein called this sensitive dependence on initial conditions. I call it proof that you're more powerful than you think. Because here's what nobody talks about. If a 0.000127 difference can change a weather system, what can your daily choices change in your life? The truth about transformation. My friend, I want you to forget everything you've been told about personal growth. Forget the 30-day challenges. Forget the complete life overhaul. Forget the idea that you need to wake up tomorrow as a completely different person. Real transformation doesn't work that way. And honestly, thank goodness it doesn't. Because if change required massive effort, most of us would never even start. The bar would be too high, the commitment too intense, the failure rate too depressing. But what if I told you that the smallest action you take today, something so tiny it feels almost pointless, could be the beginning of everything changing? What if drinking one glass of water every morning could eventually lead to you running marathons? What if writing one sentence a day could turn you into a published author? What if one push-up could transform your entire relationship with fitness? You might be thinking, come on, that sounds too good to be true. I get it. I thought the same thing. But here's what I've learned through years of trial, error, and eventually breakthrough. The compound effect of tiny actions is the most underestimated force in personal development. Your life is a complex system. Think about your life right now, your health, your career, your relationships, your finances, your mental state. They're all interconnected, right? Change one thing and everything else shifts. That's because your life isn't a collection of separate parts. It's a complex, interconnected system. Just like weather, just like ecosystems, just like the ocean's ripples. And in complex systems, small inputs create disproportionate outputs. Let me give you a real example from my own life. 5 years ago, I was stuck. I mean, really stuck. My career was stagnant, my health was declining, my relationships felt distant. I was going through the motions, wondering when things would get better. I tried everything. Gym memberships I never used, self-help books I never finished, bold resolutions that lasted about 3 days. Nothing stuck. Then one day, out of pure frustration, I made the smallest commitment imaginable. I would read 1 page of a book before bed. Just 1. That's it. It felt ridiculous. How could 1 page change anything? But here's what happened. 1 page became 2, then 5, then a chapter. Within 3 months, I'd read more books than I had in the previous 3 years. Those books gave me ideas. Those ideas changed my thinking. That thinking shifted my actions. Those actions transformed my results. That single page was my 0.000127 difference. And once that ripple started, it spread everywhere. Better reading habits led to better morning routines. Better mornings led to better energy. Better energy led to better work. Better work led to better opportunities. Better opportunities led to better confidence. 1 page. That's all it took to start. The power of micro habits. Now, I want to introduce you to the concept that's going to change everything for you. Micro habits. These aren't just small habits. They're strategically tiny actions designed to bypass your brain's resistance to change. Think about it. Your brain is wired to protect you. When you try to make a big change, like I'm going to work out for an hour every day, your brain sees that as a threat. It requires energy, disrupts routine, and creates discomfort. So what does your brain do? It resists. It finds excuses. It makes you feel tired. It convinces you to start next Monday. But micro habits, they're so small, they slip past that resistance completely. Your brain doesn't see 1 push-up as a threat. It doesn't resist 3 deep breaths or 1 sentence of writing or 5 minutes of learning. And here's the beautiful part. Once you start, you usually do more. But even if you don't, even if you only do that 1 small thing, you're still building the neural pathway. You're still creating the ripple. The mathematics of compound growth. Let me show you something that will blow your mind. If you improve by just 1% every day for a year, you don't end up 365% better. Because of compounding, you end up 37 times better. 1.01 to the power of 365 equals 37.78. That's the power of consistency over intensity. Meanwhile, if you get 1% worse every day, you decline to nearly 0. 0.99 to the power of 365 equals 0.03. Same principle, opposite direction. This means every single day you're either compounding forward or compounding backward. There's no neutral. You're always in motion. The question is, which direction are you moving? Where we're going together. My friend, I'm not here to give you another self-help formula. that looks good on paper but falls apart in real life. I'm here to show you a system that actually works. A system based on how your brain actually functions, how habits actually form, and how transformation actually happens. Throughout this journey together, we're going to explore the neuroscience behind why micro-habits are so powerful, how to identify which tiny changes will create the biggest ripples in your life, practical techniques for making these habits automatic, how to overcome the inevitable obstacles, because they will come, ways to apply this to every area of your life: health, career, relationships, finances, creativity. But most importantly, we're going to change your relationship with personal growth itself. You're going to stop seeing change as this massive, overwhelming thing you have to force yourself through. Instead, you're going to see it as a series of small, manageable steps that actually feel good to take. Because here's what I've discovered: the best habit is the one you'll actually do, not the most impressive one, not the one that sounds best when you tell people about it, the one you'll actually, genuinely do, consistently, without willpower, without force. That's where the magic lives. Your moment starts now. Right now, in this very moment, you're standing at a fork in the road. You can close this book and go back to waiting for the right time to make changes. You can keep searching for that perfect system, that magic bullet, that one secret that will instantly transform everything. Or you can accept a simple truth: the right time is now. The perfect system is the one you'll use, and the magic isn't in some secret. It's in the compound effect of tiny, consistent actions. That ripple in the water? That's you, my friend. One small stone, one tiny action, one micro-habit. But the waves you create, they'll reach shores you can't even imagine yet. So let me ask you something. What if the smallest choice you make today becomes the turning point you look back on years from now? What if this is that moment? Are you ready to find out? Chapter 2, The Architecture of Change. Understanding how habits really work. Okay, my friend, before we dive into creating new habits, we need to understand something crucial. Why do habits have such power over us in the first place? And more importantly, once we understand that, how can we use it to our advantage? Let me start with a story that illustrates this perfectly. The mystery of H.M. In 1953, a man known as H.M. underwent experimental brain surgery to treat severe epilepsy. The doctors removed parts of his brain, including most of his hippocampus, the area responsible for forming new memories. After the surgery, H.M. couldn't create new memories. If you met him, had a conversation, and left the room for 5 minutes when you came back, he wouldn't remember you at all. But here's the fascinating part. H.M. could still form new habits. Researchers taught him complex tasks, puzzles, motor skills, routines. Each day he'd claim he'd never done them before. But his performance kept improving. His brain was learning, even though he had no memory of it. This discovery changed neuroscience forever. It revealed that habits and memory are processed in completely different parts of the brain, which means you can build powerful habits without relying on memory, willpower, or conscious thought. Your habits live deeper than your thoughts. They're wired into your neural architecture, and once you understand that architecture, you can redesign it. The habit loop. your brain's autopilot system. Here's how habits actually work in your brain. Researchers at MIT discovered that every habit follows a simple three-part pattern. Cue to routine to reward. Let me break this down with an example you'll recognize immediately. You feel stressed? Cue. You scroll through social media. Routine. You feel temporary relief or distraction. Reward. Your brain remembers, when I feel stressed, scrolling makes me feel better. So the next time stress appears, your brain automatically suggests scrolling. You don't consciously decide it. The habit loop takes over. This happens with every habit, good and bad. You wake up, cue. You make coffee, routine. You feel energized and comforted, reward. You sit at your desk, cue. You check email, routine. You feel productive or informed, reward. You get home from work, cue. You collapse on the couch, routine. You feel relief, reward. See the pattern? Your brain is constantly running these loops, trying to automate as much as possible. And here's why. Your brain is lazy. I don't mean that as an insult. It's actually brilliant efficiency. Your brain uses about 20% of your body's energy despite being only 2% of your body weight. It's expensive to run. So your brain tries to conserve energy by turning repeated behaviors into automatic habits. This frees up mental resources for novel situations that actually require conscious thought. This is why you can drive home and not remember the journey. Your brain automated the entire process. This is why you can brush your teeth while thinking about tomorrow's meeting. Brushing became automatic years ago. The question is, how do we hijack this system to build the habits we actually want? Neuroplasticity. Your brain can rewire itself. Here's something that would have seemed like science fiction 50 years ago. Your brain is not fixed. It's constantly changing, rewiring, and adapting based on what you do. This phenomenon is called neuroplasticity, and it's the biological foundation for why micro-habits work so well. Every time you perform an action, you strengthen the neural pathway associated with that action. Think of it like walking through a field of tall grass. The first time, it's difficult. The grass is high, and you have to push through. But walk the same path every day, and eventually you create a clear trail. The grass wears down. The path becomes obvious. Walking it becomes effortless. That's exactly what happens in your brain. Each time you perform your micro-habit, 1 push-up, 1 page of reading, 1 minute of meditation, you're walking that neural path. You're making it clearer, stronger, easier to follow. And here's the incredible part. This happens whether you feel motivated or not. You don't need to feel motivated to benefit from neuroplasticity. You just need to do the action. Your brain doesn't care about your feelings when it's building neural pathways. It only cares about repetition. This is why consistency beats intensity. This is why micro-habits are more powerful than occasional grand gestures. The role of dopamine, your brain's reward system. Now, let's talk about the chemical that makes habits stick, dopamine. You've probably heard dopamine called the pleasure chemical, or the feel-good neurotransmitter. That's partially true, but it's more accurate to call it the motivation and reward prediction chemical. Here's how it works. When you complete an action and receive a reward, your brain releases dopamine. This creates a sense of satisfaction and pleasure. But more importantly, it tags that behavior as worth repeating. The next time you encounter the cue, your brain remembers that dopamine hit and motivates you to perform the routine again. This is why habits can be so powerful and so addictive. Good news! We can use this to our advantage with micro habits. The key is to attach a reward to your micro habit. Not a huge reward, just something that creates that dopamine release. For example, after your one push-up, you might do a little victory gesture. After reading one page, you might check it off on a satisfying habit tracker. After drinking your morning water, you might say yes out loud. These tiny rewards might seem silly, but they're neurologically significant. They're telling your brain, this behavior is good. Remember this. Do it again. Environment, the invisible hand shaping your habits. Here's something most people miss. Your habits are shaped more by your environment than by your willpower. Let me prove it to you. If I put a plate of cookies on your desk, you're more likely to eat cookies. It doesn't matter how much willpower you have. The environmental cue is right there, triggering the habit loop. If I remove the cookies and put a water bottle in the same spot, you're more likely to drink water. Same you. Different environment. Different behavior. This is why trying harder often fails. You're fighting your environment instead of designing it. Smart habit formation isn't about willpower. It's about environmental design. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow. When you see it at bedtime, cue, you're more likely to read routine. Want to exercise in the morning? Put your workout clothes next to your bed. When you wake up, cue, they're right there, making the routine easier. Want to drink more water? Put filled water bottles everywhere, on your desk, by your bed, in your car. Make the cue for good habits obvious. Make the cue for bad habits invisible. The automation sweet spot. Here's the ultimate goal with any habit: automation. When a behavior becomes truly habitual, it requires almost no conscious effort or willpower. It just happens. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't have an internal debate about whether to do it. You don't need motivation. You don't reward yourself for doing it. You just do it automatically. That's the sweet spot we're aiming for with your micro habits. And here's the timeline. Research suggests it takes anywhere from 18 to 254 days for a behavior to become automatic, with an average of about 66 days. But here's what matters more than the number. It's not about how long it takes. It's about showing up consistently. Miss a day? No problem. The research shows that missing one day doesn't significantly impact habit formation. What matters is getting back on track immediately. This is why micro habits are so brilliant. They're so small that getting back on track is easy. You can't use "I don't have time" as an excuse for one push-up or one page of reading. Your brain is on your side. My friend, here's what I want you to take away from this chapter. Your brain isn't your enemy. It's not sabotaging you. It's not weak or lazy or broken. Your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do: conserve energy, seek rewards, and automate repeated behaviors. The problem isn't your brain. The problem is that you haven't been working with your brain's natural tendencies. But now you understand the architecture. You know about the habit loop. You understand neuroplasticity and dopamine. You see how environment shapes behavior. Now you can design habits that work with your brain, not against it. And that changes everything. In the next chapter, we're going to get practical. We're going to identify your current habits, spot the patterns, and pinpoint exactly where small changes can create massive ripples in your life. Because understanding the science is powerful, but applying it? That's where transformation lives. Chapter 3, The Self-Discovery Map, Finding Your Starting Point. All right, my friend, here's where things get real. We've talked about the ripple effect. We've explored the neuroscience. Now it's time to look in the mirror and ask, where am I actually starting from? Because here's the truth. You can't improve what you don't measure. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. And you can't build a path forward if you don't know where you're standing. This chapter isn't about judgment. It's not about beating yourself up for bad habits or feeling guilty about where you are. This is about clarity, awareness, truth. And from that place of truth, we're going to build something extraordinary. The week of honest observation. I want you to try something that might feel uncomfortable at first, but I promise it's going to be eye-opening. For the next 7 days, I want you to become an observer of your own life. Not a judge, not a critic, just a curious observer. Here's what you're going to do. Get a notebook or open a note on your phone. Every evening, spend 10 minutes writing down what you actually did that day. Not what you wish you did, not what you planned to do, what you actually did. Include everything. What time did you wake up? What did you eat and when? How did you spend your time? When did you feel energized? When did you feel drained? What were your automatic responses to stress, boredom, or anxiety? How much time did you spend on your phone? When did you feel most productive? What activities made you feel good? Which ones made you feel bad? Write it all down without commentary, just facts. Woke up at 7:15 a.m., hit snooze twice, checked phone immediately, scrolled Instagram for 20 minutes, skipped breakfast, got coffee at 9 a.m., felt tired until 11 a.m., productive work session, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., lunch at desk while watching YouTube. You get the idea. Now here's what's going to happen. After 7 days, you're going to read through your notes and you're going to see patterns you never noticed before. You'll discover hidden time drains. You weren't aware of energy patterns throughout your day, emotional triggers for certain behaviors, positive habits you're already doing that you can build on, negative habits you've been unconsciously repeating. This is your personal data, your starting point, your truth, and truthfully, this exercise alone has transformed people's lives because awareness is the first step to change. The gold mine, finding high-impact opportunities. Now, once you've completed your week of observation, it's time to mine for gold. Look through your notes and ask yourself these questions. 1. What small change would improve my mornings? Your morning sets the tone for your entire day. What's one tiny thing that could make your mornings better? Maybe it's putting your phone in another room so you don't check it first thing. Maybe it's preparing your coffee the night before. Maybe it's opening your curtains immediately to get natural light. Find one thing, just one. 2. What drains my energy that I could easily eliminate? Look for the low-hanging fruit, the things that take energy but give nothing back. Maybe it's checking email 47 times a day. Maybe it's that toxic friend you keep texting with. Maybe it's watching news before bed. What's one energy drain you could remove with a micro habit? 3. What positive habit am I already doing that I could build on? This is huge. You're not starting from zero. You already have positive patterns. Maybe you already drink coffee every morning. Could you add one glass of water right before? Maybe you already take a lunch break. Could you add a 5-minute walk? Maybe you already brush your teeth at night. Could you add 1 minute of stretching right after? Habit stacking, which we'll dive deeper into later, is one of the most powerful techniques for building new habits. You attach a new micro-habit to an existing habit, using the existing habit as your cue. 4. What area of my life would benefit most from a small improvement? Is it your health, your relationships, your career, your finances, your mental well-being? You don't have to fix everything at once. In fact, you shouldn't try to. Pick one area where a small improvement would create the biggest ripple effect. The SMART framework, but not the way you've heard it. You've probably heard about SMART goals before: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Here's my problem with how most people use this framework. They make their goals too big. I will lose 30 pounds in 3 months by going to the gym 5 times a week. That's specific, measurable, time-bound, and also destined to fail for most people because it's too much, too fast. So I want you to use the SMART framework, but apply it to micro habits, not massive goals. Here's what that looks like. Specific: I will do 1 push-up every morning. Not, I will get in shape. Measurable: I will drink 1 glass of water when I wake up. Not, I will drink more water. Achievable: I will read 1 page before bed. Not, I will read for an hour every night. Relevant: I will take 3 deep breaths when I feel stressed, if you're working on stress management. Not, I will learn Spanish, if that's not connected to your priorities right now. Time-bound: I will do this every day for the next 30 days, then reassess. Not, I will do this forever, which feels overwhelming and abstract. See the difference? We're taking the SMART framework and making it work for micro habits, not against them. Values: alignment, the secret ingredient. Here's something most habit books won't tell you. If your micro habits don't align with your core values, they won't stick. You can have all the discipline in the world, but if a habit doesn't connect to what you actually care about, it's going to feel like a chore, and eventually you'll quit. So let me ask you something. What kind of person do you want to become? Not what do you want to achieve. Not what do you want to have. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be someone who's healthy and energized? Do you want to be someone who's knowledgeable and always learning? Do you want to be someone who's present and connected with loved ones? Do you want to be someone who's financially secure and responsible? Do you want to be someone who's creative and expressive? Get clear on this. Write it down. Because here's the magic. When your micro habits align with your identity, they stop being things you have to do and become expressions of who you are. You're not trying to exercise. You're someone who takes care of their body. You're not trying to read more. You're someone who values learning. You're not trying to save money. You're someone who makes wise financial choices. This shift from external goals to internal identity is the difference between habits that last a few weeks and habits that last a lifetime. The priority matrix. what to focus on first. Okay, so now you've got awareness from your observation week. You've identified potential micro-habits. You've aligned them with your values. But you might be looking at a list of 10 or 15 possible micro-habits and thinking, where do I even start? Here's my framework for prioritizing. High impact plus easy to implement equals start here. What's a micro-habit that would create a significant ripple effect in your life and is easy to start doing today? This is your sweet spot. For example, drinking water first thing in the morning is high impact, affects energy, metabolism, mental clarity, and easy to implement. Just put a glass of water on your nightstand. High impact plus harder to implement equals build up to. These are the habits that will transform your life but require more setup or support. Put these on your list for later, once you've built momentum with easier habits. Low impact plus easy to implement equals nice to have. These are fine, but don't prioritize them. They're not going to move the needle significantly. Low impact plus harder to implement equals skip for now. Life's too short. Focus your energy where it matters. Your personal micro-habit blueprint. By the end of this chapter, here's what you should have. 7 days of honest observation data about your current habits and patterns, 3 to 5 high-impact opportunities where small changes could create big results, 1 to 3 smart micro-habits. You're going to start with clear alignment between your micro-habits and your core values. A priority list so you know what to focus on first. This is your blueprint, your personalized map. And here's the beautiful thing. This blueprint is uniquely yours. It's not some generic template that works for everyone. It's designed specifically for your life, your patterns, your values, your goals. The kindness component. My friend, before we move on, I need to say something important. Be kind to yourself in this process. When you're looking at your week of observation, you're going to see things you don't like, habits you wish you didn't have, time you wish you'd spent differently. That's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's human. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're just becoming aware. And awareness without judgment is the most powerful place to start. So as you identify areas for improvement, do it with curiosity and compassion, not criticism. Ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why do I always mess this up? Ask, what's one small thing I can change? Instead of, why can't I just be perfect? This journey of micro-habits isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up. It's about becoming 1% better consistently over time. And that journey starts with knowing where you are. So take a breath. Look at your life honestly and get ready to start building something incredible, one tiny step at a time. Chapter 4. Building your habit architecture, making micro-habits automatic. All right. My friend, we've done the groundwork. You understand the science. You've identified your starting point. Now comes the part you've been waiting for, actually building the habits. And I'm going to show you how to do this in a way that feels almost effortless. Because here's what I've learned. The best habit system is the one that doesn't feel like a system at all. The ridiculously small start? Let me tell you about my friend Marcus. Marcus wanted to start meditating. He'd read all the research about reduced stress, improved focus, better emotional regulation. He was convinced meditation would change his life. So he set a goal, 20 minutes of meditation every morning. Day 1 went great. He felt accomplished, peaceful, ready to conquer the world. Day 2 was harder. He was running late, but he forced himself to do it. Day 3, he overslept. He skipped meditation, promising himself he'd do it that evening. He didn't. Day 4, he felt guilty. The habit was already broken. Why bother? By day 7, meditation was just another thing he'd failed at. Sound familiar? Now let me tell you what happened when Marcus tried again, 6 months later, using a different approach. This time, his goal was absurdly small. Take 3 conscious breaths. That's it. Not 20 minutes. 3 breaths. So small it felt almost pointless. But he did it anyway. Day 1, 3 breaths. Done. Day 2, 3 breaths. But it felt good, so he took 6. Day 3, started with 3 breaths, ended up sitting for 2 minutes. Day 7, his 3 breaths had naturally evolved into a 5-minute practice. Day 30, he was meditating for 10 to 15 minutes most days, and it felt natural. 6 months later, meditation was so ingrained in his routine that skipping it felt weird. What changed? The second time, Marcus didn't rely on motivational discipline. He relied on a system designed to work with human psychology, not against it. He started ridiculously small, and that's exactly what you're going to do. The too easy to fail principle. Here's the rule I want you to follow. Your micro habit should be so small that you'd feel silly not doing it. If you want to build a reading habit, don't commit to reading for 30 minutes. Commit to reading 1 page. If you want to start exercising, don't commit to a 45-minute workout. Commit to 1 push-up. If you want to eat healthier, don't overhaul your entire diet. Commit to adding 1 vegetable to 1 meal. I know what you're thinking, but 1 page won't make me well-read. 1 push-up won't get me fit. 1 vegetable won't make me healthy. You're right, it won't. But here's what it will do. It will build the identity of someone who reads, someone who exercises, someone who makes healthy choices. And that identity is worth more than any single result. Because once you see yourself as someone who reads, you'll naturally want to read more. Once you see yourself as someone who exercises, you'll naturally want to do more push-ups. The behavior follows the identity, not the other way around. Habit stacking, the attachment strategy. Now let me give you one of the most powerful techniques for building new habits, habit stacking. Here's how it works. You take an existing habit, something you already do consistently, and attach your new micro-habit immediately after it. The formula is simple. After I existing habit, I will new micro-habit. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will drink 1 glass of water. After I brush my teeth at night, I will do 1 minute of stretching. After I sit down at my desk, I will write down my top 3 priorities for the day. After I put my kids to bed, I will read 1 page of a book. Why is this so effective? Because you're leveraging an existing neural pathway. Your brain already has a strong cue routine reward loop for your existing habit. By attaching a new behavior to it, you're piggybacking on that existing loop. You don't have to remember to do your new habit. You don't have to rely on motivation. The existing habit becomes the automatic trigger. I'll give you a personal example. I wanted to build a gratitude practice, but I kept forgetting to do it. I'd read about the benefits, I'd set reminders on my phone, but it never stuck. Then I used habit stacking. I already had a solid habit of making tea every afternoon around 3 p.m., so I created this stack. After I pour my afternoon tea, I will write down one thing I'm grateful for. I put a small notebook next to my tea kettle. Every day when I made tea, I saw the notebook. I'd write one thing while the tea steeped. That was 3 years ago. I haven't missed a day since. The existing habit, making tea, became the cue for the new habit, gratitude. No willpower required, no motivation needed, just automatic. Environment design, making good habits. Inevitable. Remember what we talked about in Chapter 2? Your environment shapes your behavior more than your willpower does. So let's design your environment to make your micro habits inevitable. Here's the principle. Make the cue obvious. Make the behavior easy. Make the reward satisfying. Let me break this down. Make the cue obvious. If you want to drink more water, put water bottles everywhere. On your nightstand, on your desk, in your car, by your couch. If you want to read more, put books in every room. On your coffee table, by your bed, on your kitchen counter. If you want to exercise in the morning, put your workout clothes out the night before. Better yet, sleep in them. Visual cues are incredibly powerful. When you see the cue, your brain automatically thinks about the habit. Make the behavior easy. Reduce friction for good habits. Increase friction for bad habits. Want to eat healthier? Prep vegetables on Sunday and put them in clear containers at eye level in your fridge. Want to watch less TV? Unplug it after each use and put the remote in a drawer. Want to practice guitar? Keep it on a stand in your living room, not in a case in your closet. The easier a behavior is to do, the more likely you'll do it. The harder it is, the less likely. Make the reward satisfying. This is where most people miss the mark. Your micro habit needs an immediate reward, not just a long-term benefit. Long-term benefits are great. Better health, more knowledge, financial security. But your brain doesn't get a dopamine hit from theoretical future benefits. It needs something now. So build in immediate rewards. After you complete your micro habit, check it off on a habit tracker. That visual progress is rewarding. After your one push-up, do a little victory gesture. Sounds silly, but it signals to your brain, this is good. We should do this again. After you drink your morning water, say out loud, I'm taking care of my body. That internal acknowledgement is powerful. These tiny rewards might seem insignificant, but neurologically, they're creating the dopamine loop that makes habits stick. The 2-minute rule. Here's another principle that's been game-changing for me. If a habit takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This comes from David Allen's Getting Things Done methodology, but it applies perfectly to micro habits. See a piece of trash? Pick it up immediately. Takes 5 seconds. Think of something you need to tell someone. Send the text right now. Takes 30 seconds. Want to drink water? Do it now, not later. Takes 20 seconds. The 2-minute rule prevents tiny tasks from accumulating into overwhelming mental clutter, and it builds the identity of someone who takes immediate action. Plus, it creates momentum. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. You don't need to feel motivated to do something that takes 2 minutes. You just do it. And once you're in motion, you're more likely to stay in motion. Tracking. The power of seeing progress. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been on a streak and felt compelled to keep it going? Maybe you've used Duolingo and didn't want to break your streak. Maybe you've exercised multiple days in a row and felt motivated to continue. Maybe you've journaled every day for a week and didn't want to stop. That's the power of tracking. Visual progress is inherently motivating. You don't need a fancy app, though there are great ones out there. A simple calendar with X's works perfectly. Here's what I do. I have a paper calendar on my wall. Every day I complete my micro habits. I draw a big, satisfying X through that day. After a few days, I have a chain of X's. After a week, that chain starts to feel significant. After a month, that chain feels sacred. I don't want to break it. This is called the chain method, and it's brilliantly simple. Your only job is to not break the chain. Some days, you'll do more than your micro habit. Great. Still just one X. Some days, you'll barely do the minimum. That's fine. Still one X. The chain doesn't care about perfection. It only cares about consistency. The power of identity-based habits. Here's something that completely shifted how I think about habits. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Most people approach habits from an outcome-based perspective. I want to lose 20 pounds. Outcome. I want to read 50 books this year. Outcome. I want to save $10,000. Outcome. But here's a more powerful approach. Identity-based habits. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. I'm someone who takes care of their body. I'm someone who values learning. I'm someone who makes wise financial decisions. See the difference? When you do one push-up, you're not just working toward the goal of getting fit. You're proving to yourself that you're the type of person who exercises. When you read one page, you're not just trying to finish a book. You're reinforcing the identity of being a reader. Every micro habit is a small vote for your desired identity. One vote doesn't change who you are, but hundreds of votes, thousands of votes, that's when transformation happens. And here's the beautiful part. The smaller the habit, the easier it is to do it consistently. The more consistently you do it, the stronger your identity becomes. You're not trying to force yourself to be someone you're not. You're becoming that person, one tiny action at a time. Starting your first micro habit right now. All right, my friend, enough theory. Let's get practical. Right now, I want you to choose one micro habit to start today. Not 3, not 5. 1. Here's how to choose. Ask yourself, what's one tiny habit that, if I did it consistently, would create a positive ripple in my life? Got it? Good. Now make it even smaller. If you thought exercise for 10 minutes, make it 1 push-up. If you thought read for 15 minutes, make it 1 page. If you thought meditate for 5 minutes, make it 3 breaths. Make it so small, it feels almost ridiculous. Now, decide on your cue. What existing habit will trigger this new micro habit? Write it down in this format. After I existing habit, I will new micro habit. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will do 1 push-up. Finally, design your environment. What can you change in your physical space to make this habit easier? And that's it. You've just created your first micro habit. No motivation required. No willpower needed. Just a tiny action attached to an existing routine in a supportive environment. Do it today. Do it tomorrow. Do it the day after that. Don't worry about doing more. Don't try to expand it yet. Just protect the consistency, because that consistency, that's where the magic lives. Chapter 5, The Obstacle Course, Navigating Challenges and Staying Consistent. Okay, my friend, let's get real for a minute. I've given you all these tools. I've shown you how to build micro habits. I've made it sound simple, because it is. But here's what I haven't told you yet. You're going to face obstacles. You're going to struggle. You're going to want to quit. Not because you're weak, not because the system doesn't work, but because you're human. And being human means dealing with resistance, setbacks, and the very real challenges of changing ingrained patterns. So in this chapter, I'm going to show you how to navigate those challenges, how to get back on track when you fall off, how to maintain consistency even when motivation disappears. Because the difference between people who transform their lives and people who don't isn't talent or willpower. It's knowing how to handle obstacles. The resistance monster. Let me introduce you to a force you're going to encounter: resistance. Author Stephen Pressfield wrote an entire book about it called The War of Art. He personifies resistance as an invisible force that opposes any action that requires growth or change. And here's the thing. Resistance is sneaky. It doesn't show up as obvious opposition. It shows up as perfectly reasonable excuses. I'm too tired today. I'll start tomorrow. I don't feel motivated right now. I have so much going on, maybe next week. One day off won't hurt. Resistance is the voice that sounds like you, using your own logic against you. And the micro-habit approach? Resistance hates it. Why? Because you've made the habit so small that resistance can't use its usual tactics. I don't have time doesn't work when the habit takes 30 seconds. I'm too tired doesn't work when the habit is one push-up. I'll do it later doesn't work when later is immediately after your coffee. But resistance will still try. So here's what you do. When you hear the voice of resistance, acknowledge it. Then do the micro-habit anyway. I hear you, resistance. I am tired, but I'm still going to do my one push-up. The act of doing it despite resistance is the victory. Not doing it perfectly, not doing extra, just showing up. The motivation myth. Here's something nobody tells you. Motivation is unreliable. I know. Every motivational speaker tells you to find your why and get motivated and stay inspired. But motivation is like the weather. It changes constantly. Some days, you'll wake up feeling fired up and ready to conquer the world. Other days, you'll barely want to get out of bed. If you rely on motivation to maintain your habits, you're going to fail. Because motivation is a feeling, and feelings are temporary. So what do you rely on instead? Systems and identity. Systems. You've created a habit stack. You've designed your environment. You've made the behavior automatic. The system doesn't care if you're motivated. It just runs. Identity. You've decided you're the type of person who does this habit. It's not about whether you feel like it. It's about who you are. I'll give you a personal example. There are days I absolutely don't feel like writing. The motivation is completely gone. The inspiration is nowhere to be found. But I write anyway. Not because I'm motivated. Because I'm a writer. That's my identity. And you know what happens? Once I start writing, the motivation often appears. But it comes after the action, not before. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. So on the days you don't feel motivated, and there will be many, just do the micro habit anyway. You don't need to feel like it. You just need to do it. The power of never miss twice. Here's a rule that saved me countless times. Never miss twice. You're going to miss days. It's inevitable. Life happens. You get sick. You travel. You forget. You fall off the wagon. That's okay. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new pattern. So the rule is simple. If you miss one day, make absolutely sure you don't miss the next day. This prevents the downward spiral, because here's what usually happens. You miss one day, feel guilty, then that guilt makes you avoid the habit the next day because it reminds you that you failed. Then you miss another day and another, and suddenly it's been a week, and the habit is gone. But if you use the never miss twice rule, you cut that spiral off immediately. Miss Monday? Make sure you do it Tuesday. No exceptions. This maintains the identity. One missed day doesn't change who you are, but several missed days in a row? That starts to erode the identity. Building your routine fortress. One of the best ways to overcome obstacles is to build such a strong routine that the habit happens automatically, regardless of circumstances. Here's how you do that. Same time, same place, same sequence. Your brain loves patterns. The more consistent you make the context around your habit, the stronger the neural pathway becomes. If you're doing your micro habit at a different time every day, in different places, you're making it harder for your brain to automate it. But if you do it at exactly 7 a.m., right after you brush your teeth, in your bathroom, every single day, your brain will start to cue that behavior automatically. The routine becomes your fortress. It protects your habit from the chaos of daily life. Even when you're traveling, even when your schedule changes, try to maintain the same sequence as much as possible. For example, I travel a lot, but my morning routine stays almost identical whether I'm home or in a hotel. Wake up, arrow. Drink, water, arrow. 3 deep breaths, arrow. Coffee, arrow. Write 1 sentence in my gratitude journal. The locations change, but the sequence doesn't, and that consistency makes the habits resilient. The reward reinforcement. Remember dopamine? That neurochemical that makes habits stick? You need to give your brain a reason to keep doing the habit, especially in the early days before it becomes automatic. So build in immediate rewards. I'm not talking about I'll eat a cookie after I exercise. That undermines the habit. I'm talking about intrinsic, built-in rewards that feel good and reinforce the behavior. Tracking. The act of checking off the habit on your tracker releases dopamine. That little checkmark feels good. Celebration. After you complete your micro habit, take a moment to feel proud. Say, yes. Do a little fist pump. Smile. These physical celebrations might feel silly, but they're neurologically significant. Acknowledgement. Verbally acknowledge what you did. I showed up for myself today. I'm building the person I want to become. This internal recognition is powerful. The key is to make the reward immediate. Your brain needs to connect the behavior to the positive feeling right away. Over time, the habit itself becomes rewarding. But in the beginning, you need to manufacture that reward. Identifying your personal triggers. Everyone has specific situations, emotions, or circumstances that make sticking to habits harder. These are your personal triggers. For some people, it's stress. When they're stressed, they abandon their good habits and revert to comfort behaviors. For others, it's disruption to routine. Travel, illness, or changes in schedule throw them completely off track. For others still, it's social situations. Being around certain people makes it harder to stick to their commitments. What are yours? Think back to times you've tried to build habits before. When did you fall off track? What was happening in your life? Once you identify your triggers, you can prepare for them. If your trigger is stress, build stress management into your micro habits. Maybe your micro habit becomes, when I feel stressed, I take 3 deep breaths. If your trigger is routine disruption, create portable versions of your habits that work anywhere. I will do 1 push-up works whether you're home or in a hotel. If your trigger is social pressure, communicate your commitments to the people around you. I'm building a health habit, so I'm going to step outside for 1 minute to do my breathing exercise. The triggers don't go away, but you can plan for them. The comeback strategy. Here's what to do when you've fallen completely off track. First, forgive yourself immediately. Guilt is not productive. It doesn't motivate you to get back on track. It makes you want to avoid the habit altogether because it reminds you of your failure. So let it go. Right now, you didn't fail. You're human. You encountered an obstacle. That's it. Second, identify what caused the lapse without judgment. Was it a trigger you didn't prepare for? Was the habit too difficult? Was the cue not obvious enough? Understanding what went wrong helps you adjust your system. Third, restart immediately with the smallest possible version of your habit. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, right now. Even if you've been off track for a month, you can restart this instant and make it even smaller than before. If your micro habit was 1 push-up, make it 1 wall push-up. Easier. If it was reading 1 page, make it reading 1 paragraph. The goal is to rebuild the identity and the consistency, not to make up for lost time. Fourth, strengthen your system based on what you learned. Maybe you need a more obvious cue. Maybe you need to adjust the time of day. Maybe you need to build in more accountability. Use the setback as data to improve your system. Accountability, the secret weapon. Here's something that dramatically increases your success rate: external accountability. When you tell someone else about your commitment, you're more likely to follow through. Why? Because humans are social creatures. We care about how others perceive us. We don't want to let people down. So find an accountability partner, a friend, family member, or even an online community. Share your micro habit with them. Tell them you're committing to it for 30 days. Then check in regularly, daily, weekly, whatever works. The simple act of reporting "I did it today" to another person creates positive social pressure. And on the days you don't feel like doing it, the thought of having to tell your accountability partner you skipped might be enough to push you to follow through. Even better, find someone who's working on their own micro habits and check in with each other. You both benefit from the mutual support and accountability. The self-compassion practice. My friend, I need to emphasize this because it's crucial. Be kind to yourself throughout this process. You're going to mess up. You're going to miss days. You're going to struggle. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're learning. The voice in your head that says, You're so lazy. You can't even do one small thing consistently. What's wrong with you? That voice is lying. Replace it with compassion. I'm learning a new skill. Building habits is challenging, and I'm doing my best. Missing one day doesn't erase all my progress. I'm proud of myself for trying again. Research shows that self-compassion is far more effective for behavior change than self-criticism. When you beat yourself up, you feel worse, which makes you less likely to try again. When you treat yourself with kindness, you maintain your motivation and resilience. So practice self-compassion as if it's another micro-habit, because in many ways, it is. Chapter 6, The Mindset Revolution, Thinking Your Way to Transformation. All right, my friend, we need to talk about the invisible force that determines whether you succeed or fail with micro-habits, your mindset. Because here's the truth. You can have the perfect system, the ideal environment, and all the knowledge in the world. But if your mindset is working against you, none of it matters. Your beliefs about yourself, your capabilities, and your potential shape every action you take. They determine whether you persist through challenges or give up at the first sign of difficulty. So in this chapter, we're going to rewire how you think. And when you change your thinking, everything else changes too. Fixed versus growth. The fork in the road. Let me tell you about two people I know. Sarah believes that people are born with certain talents and abilities. You're either smart or you're not. You're either athletic or you're not. You're either disciplined or you're not. When Sarah tries something new and struggles, she thinks, I guess I'm just not good at this. When she fails, she sees it as evidence of her limitations. When she sees someone else succeeding, she thinks, well, they're naturally talented. I could never do that. Jake believes that abilities can be developed through effort and practice. Intelligence can grow. Discipline can be built. Skills can be learned. When Jake tries something new and struggles, he thinks, I'm not good at this yet. When he fails, he sees it as valuable feedback and a learning opportunity. When he sees someone else succeeding, he thinks, what can I learn from their approach? Sarah has a fixed mindset. Jake has a growth mindset. Psychologist Carol Dweck spent decades studying this difference, and here's what she found. People with growth mindsets achieve more, persist longer, and enjoy the process more, not because they're more talented, but because their beliefs about their potential are different. And here's the incredible part. Mindset itself can be changed. You're not stuck with the mindset you currently have. You can cultivate a growth mindset, starting right now. Rewiring your inner dialogue. The way you talk to yourself matters more than you realize. Your internal dialogue shapes your beliefs, which shape your actions, which shape your results. So let's change the dialogue. Here are common fixed mindset statements and their growth mindset alternatives. Fixed, I'm terrible at this. Growth, I'm still learning this. Fixed, I always fail at building habits. Growth, I haven't found the right system yet. Fixed, I'm just not a morning person. Growth, I haven't trained my body to wake up early yet. Fixed, I don't have willpower. Growth, I haven't built the systems that make willpower unnecessary. See the difference? The growth mindset version doesn't deny reality or challenges. It simply adds the word yet and reframes the situation as temporary and changeable. Start paying attention to your internal dialogue. When you catch yourself using fixed mindset language, pause and reframe it. This is a micro-habit in itself, and it's one of the most powerful you can build. The power of positive framing. How you frame your micro-habit journey determines how you experience it. Let me show you what I mean. Negative framing. I have to do my micro-habit today. Positive framing. I get to do my micro-habit today. That one word, from have to get to, changes everything. Have to implies obligation, burden, force. Get to implies opportunity, privilege, choice. When you say, I get to exercise, you're acknowledging that you have a body capable of movement. Not everyone does. When you say, I get to read, you're acknowledging that you have the time, literacy, and access to books. Not everyone does. This isn't about toxic positivity or denying real challenges. It's about choosing to focus on what you're gaining rather than what you're giving up. You're not giving up junk food. You're choosing to nourish your body. You're not forcing yourself to save money. You're building financial freedom. The behavior is the same, but the emotional experience is completely different. Affirmations. Programming your subconscious. I used to think affirmations were silly, just wishful thinking with no real impact. I was wrong. Here's what affirmations actually do. They help you rehearse the identity you're building. Remember, every action is a vote for your identity. Affirmations are like casting those votes mentally before you take the physical action. But here's the key. Effective affirmations are identity-based, not outcome-based. Ineffective. I will have six-pack abs. Effective. I am someone who takes care of my body. Ineffective. I will be rich. Effective. I am someone who makes wise financial choices. Ineffective. I will read 100 books this year. Effective. I am someone who values learning. See the difference? The effective affirmations focus on who you are, not what you'll achieve. And they're believable. Your subconscious won't accept, I have six-pack abs, if you clearly don't. But it can accept, I'm someone who exercises daily. Use affirmations as part of your micro-habit routine. After you complete your micro-habit, say the affirmation out loud. After your one push-up, I am someone who takes care of my body. After reading one page, I am someone who values learning and growth. After drinking your morning water, I am someone who makes healthy choices. This reinforces the identity with every repetition. Visualization, mental rehearsal. Athletes have known this for decades. Mental practice improves physical performance. Studies show that visualizing yourself performing an action activates similar neural pathways as actually performing it. So use visualization as a tool for your micro-habits. Before bed, spend 30 seconds visualizing yourself doing your micro-habit tomorrow. See yourself waking up. See yourself pouring your coffee. See yourself doing your one push-up right after. See yourself feeling proud and accomplished. Make it vivid. Engage all your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? How do you feel? This mental rehearsal makes the actual behavior easier when the moment arrives. Your brain has already practiced it. Building mental resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, and it's absolutely essential for long-term habit success. Because setbacks will happen. The question isn't if, but when. And resilient people don't avoid setbacks. They respond to them differently. Here's how to build resilience. 1. Expect obstacles. Don't be surprised when challenges arise. Expect them. Plan for them. When I travel, I'll do my micro habit in my hotel room. When I feel stressed, I'll do my breathing exercise. When I'm tired, I'll do the smallest possible version of my habit. 2. Separate temporary setbacks from permanent failure. Missing one day is a setback. Deciding you're bad at habits is treating it as permanent failure. See setbacks as isolated events, not as defining characteristics. 3. Focus on what you can control. You can't control whether you get sick. You can control whether you restart your habit as soon as you're better. You can't control unexpected work emergencies. You can control whether you do your micro habit, even when you're busy. Mental resilience comes from consistently choosing to focus on what's within your control. 4. Practice flexible thinking. Rigid thinking says, I have to do my habit at exactly 7 a.m. or the whole day is ruined. Flexible thinking says, my ideal time is 7 a.m., but if something comes up, I can do it at lunch. Flexibility prevents perfectionism from sabotaging your progress. The gratitude growth connection. Here's something unexpected. Gratitude accelerates personal growth. When you practice gratitude regularly, you train your brain to notice what's working rather than only focusing on what's wrong. And when you notice what's working, you build confidence. You see evidence of your progress. You feel motivated to continue. So build a micro habit of gratitude. Every evening, write down one thing you're grateful for related to your personal growth. I'm grateful I did my micro habit even though I was tired today. I'm grateful my body is capable of movement. I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn and grow. This simple practice shifts your entire relationship with your journey. You stop seeing it as a grind and start seeing it as a privilege. Identity transformation. Becoming who you want to be. Let's bring this all together with the ultimate mindset shift. You are not trying to do different things. You are trying to become a different person. The micro habits are just tools. The real goal is identity transformation. When you wake up and do one push-up, you're not just exercising. You're becoming someone who exercises. When you read one page, you're not just reading, you're becoming a learner. When you save money, you're not just saving, you're becoming financially responsible. Every action is a statement about who you are. And the beautiful thing, you get to decide who you are, not based on your past, not based on what others think, not based on your current circumstances. You decide through your actions who you're becoming. So who do you want to become? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the future version of yourself, the version that has built these micro habits and transformed as a result. How do they carry themselves? How do they talk about themselves? How do they respond to challenges? What do they believe about their capabilities? That person exists, not in some distant future, but right now in potential. Every micro habit you do is bringing that potential version into reality. Every time you show up, you're casting a vote for that identity. And eventually, the votes add up. The identity shifts. And you realize you're not trying to become that person anymore. You are that person. Chapter 7. The Health Revolution. Small Steps to Extraordinary Vitality. My friend, let's talk about your health. I know. You've heard it all before. Eat better, exercise more, sleep enough, drink water, blah, blah, blah. But here's what nobody tells you. You don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle to transform your health. In fact, trying to do that is usually why most health transformations fail within the first month. What if I told you that the difference between feeling exhausted and feeling energized could be as simple as drinking one glass of water when you wake up? What if the difference between being sedentary and being active could start with literally one single push-up? Let me share something personal. 3 years ago, I was the unhealthiest I'd ever been. I was 40 pounds overweight. I was exhausted all the time. I had brain fog. My back hurt. My knees hurt. Everything hurt. I knew I needed to change. So I did what most people do. I joined a gym, bought a meal plan, threw out all my junk food, and committed to working out 6 days a week. I lasted 9 days. By day 10, I was so sore, so overwhelmed, and so discouraged that I gave up entirely. And I felt like a failure. But then I discovered micro habits. And I tried something different. I committed to one wall push-up every morning. That's it. One push-up against the wall, so easy it felt embarrassing. But I did it every single morning for 2 weeks. Then something interesting happened. After my one wall push-up, I naturally wanted to do another, then another. Within a month, I was doing regular push-ups. Within 3 months, I was doing a full 10-minute morning routine. That one ridiculous wall push-up was the domino that started everything. Today, I'm in the best shape of my life. I've lost the weight. I have energy. I feel strong and capable. And it all started with one wall push-up that felt too small to matter. The 1-minute movement habit. Let's start with movement, because it's the foundation of everything else. You don't need to join a gym. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't need to carve out an hour of your day. You need 1 minute. Here's your micro habit. Move your body intentionally for 60 seconds every day. That's it. It could be one push-up or wall push-up if regular push-ups are too hard, 10 jumping jacks, a 60-second plank hold, dancing to one song, stretching. Walking up and down your stairs, the specific activity doesn't matter. What matters is the consistency. Because here's what's really happening. You're building the neural pathway of I am someone who moves their body daily. You're proving to yourself that you can commit to something and follow through. You're creating momentum that will naturally expand. And here's the secret. Most days, you'll do more than 1 minute, because starting is the hard part. Once you're moving, continuing feels natural. But even on the days you only do the 1 minute, that's a complete win, because you showed up. You kept the identity intact. Habit stack suggestion. After I brush my teeth in the morning, I will do one push-up. Put your toothbrush down, drop to the floor, or lean against the wall. Do your push-up, and you're done. The hydration anchor. Let me tell you about something so simple it sounds stupid, but it transformed my energy levels. Drinking 1 glass of water immediately upon waking. That's it. Why does this work so well? First, you've been fasting for 6 to 8 hours while you sleep. Your body is dehydrated. Drinking water immediately rehydrates you, kickstarts your metabolism, and helps flush out toxins. Second, it's an incredibly easy habit to build. Put a glass of water on your nightstand before bed. When you wake up, drink it. Done. Third, it creates a ripple effect. When you start your day with a healthy choice, you're more likely to make healthy choices throughout the day. I can't tell you how many times I've chosen water over soda later in the day, simply because I'd already established the pattern in the morning. Habit stack suggestion. After I turn off my alarm, I will drink the glass of water on my nightstand. Make it visual, make it automatic, make it inevitable. The sleep sanctuary. Now let's talk about sleep, because it's the most underrated health habit. You can exercise perfectly and eat impeccably, but if you're not sleeping well, you're sabotaging everything. Poor sleep leads to weight gain. It disrupts hormones that regulate hunger. Reduced cognitive function. Your brain literally cleans itself during sleep. Weakened immune system, increased stress and anxiety, decreased motivation and willpower. So how do we improve sleep with micro habits? Here's the simplest one. Turn off all screens 10 minutes before bed. Just 10 minutes. No phone, no TV, no laptop, no tablet. Use those 10 minutes for something calming. Read a physical book. Write in a journal. Do gentle stretching. Practice deep breathing. Talk with your partner. The blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production, making it harder to fall asleep. By creating just 10 minutes of screen-free time, you're giving your brain a chance to start winding down. Most people who implement this micro habit naturally expand it. 10 minutes becomes 15, then 20. Then they're reading for 30 minutes before bed and falling asleep faster than they have in years. But start with 10. Just 10. Habit stack suggestion. After I brush my teeth at night, I will put my phone in another room and read one page of a book. The nutrition nudge. I'm not going to tell you to overhaul your diet. I'm not going to give you a meal plan or tell you what you can't eat. Instead, I'm going to give you the simplest nutrition microhabit. Add 1 serving of vegetables to 1 meal per day. Not only eat vegetables, not cut out all junk food, not go keto or go vegan or whatever diet is trending. Just add 1 vegetable. Maybe it's adding spinach to your morning eggs. Maybe it's having carrot sticks with your lunch. Maybe it's adding broccoli to your dinner. 1 vegetable, 1 meal, every day. Why does this work? Because addition is easier than subtraction. When you try to remove foods you love, you feel deprived. When you add healthy foods, you feel like you're taking care of yourself. And here's what happens over time. The vegetables start to crowd out the less healthy foods naturally. You feel fuller. You start craving healthier options. Your taste buds adapt, but you don't force any of that. You just add 1 vegetable every day and let the ripple effect do its work. Habit stack suggestion. When I prepare my lunch, I will include 1 serving of vegetables. The posture reset. Here's a micro habit that will save your back, your neck, and your long-term mobility. Once every hour, stand up and reset your posture. That's it. 60 seconds. Stand up. Roll your shoulders back. Straighten your spine. Take 3 deep breaths. Sit back down. Most of us spend 8 to 12 hours a day sitting, and we sit with terrible posture, hunched over keyboards, craning our necks at screens, slouching in chairs. Over time, this creates chronic pain, reduced mobility, and even impacts our mood. Research shows posture affects emotional state. But 1 minute every hour, that's enough to interrupt the pattern. Set a quiet alarm on your phone. Every hour, when it goes off, stand up and reset. This micro habit has saved me from the chronic back pain I used to experience, and it takes literally 60 seconds. Habit stack suggestion. After I finish a work task each hour, I will stand up and take 3 deep breaths. The energy audit. Here's a micro habit that helps you understand your body better. Rate your energy level on a scale of 1 to 10 3 times a day. Morning, afternoon, and evening. Just write down the number. That's it. After a week, look for patterns. When is your energy highest? When does it crash? What activities boost your energy? What drains it? This awareness is incredibly valuable because once you know your energy patterns, you can design your day around them. Schedule important work during your high-energy periods. Schedule your micro habits when you're most likely to have the energy to do them. Avoid energy drains when possible. This simple tracking habit gives you data about your own body, and data leads to better decisions. The compound effect of health micro habits. Here's what's beautiful about health micro habits. They stack and compound in ways that are greater than the sum of their parts. When you drink water in the morning, you have more energy. When you have more energy, you're more likely to move your body. When you move your body, you sleep better. When you sleep better, you make better food choices. When you make better food choices, you have more stable energy throughout the day. And round it goes, each micro habit reinforcing the others. This is why starting with just 1 or 2 health micro habits can transform your entire physical well-being. You're not just changing isolated behaviors, you're initiating a positive cascade. So, my friend, which health micro habit are you going to start with? Pick one, just one. Make it ridiculously small. Attach it to an existing habit. Do it every day for 30 days. And watch what happens. Your body wants to be healthy. It wants to move, to be nourished, to rest well. You just need to give it the smallest opportunity, and it will take care of the rest. Chapter 8. The Career Catalyst. Micro Habits for Professional Excellence. All right, my friend, let's talk about your career. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, building your own business, or just trying to find more fulfillment in your work, this matters. Because here's the truth. The difference between people who excel in their careers and people who stagnate isn't talent or luck, it's habits. The daily micro habits that compound into expertise, productivity, and professional growth. Let me tell you about my friend Rachel. Rachel and Tom started at the same company on the same day, in the same role, with the same salary. 5 years later, Rachel had been promoted 3 times. She was leading a team, working on high-impact projects, and earning double her starting salary. Tom was still in roughly the same position, doing roughly the same work, wondering why he wasn't advancing. What was the difference? Rachel had built micro habits. Tom relied on bursts of motivation and effort. Let me show you what Rachel did that Tom didn't. The focus block, Rachel's most powerful career micro habit, was this: one 25-minute focused work session every morning. That's it. She'd arrive at work or log on from home, silence all notifications, close her email, put her phone in a drawer, and work on her most important task for exactly 25 minutes. No interruptions, no multitasking, just deep, focused work. This is based on the Pomodoro technique, and it's incredibly powerful. Why? because most people never do deep work. They spend their entire day in a state of constant distraction, checking email, responding to messages, attending meetings, putting out fires. But Rachel protected 25 minutes of focus every single morning, and in those 25 minutes, she accomplished more meaningful work than most people do in hours of distracted effort. Over 5 years, that's roughly 1,250 hours of deep, focused work on her most important projects. That's why she got promoted. Habit stack suggestion. After I sit down at my desk and log into my computer, I will silence all notifications and work on my top priority for 25 minutes. Start with just one focused session per day. Once it becomes automatic, you can add more. The learning ladder. Here's Rachel's second micro habit. Learn one new thing related to her field every day. It could be reading one industry article during lunch, watching one 5-minute educational video, learning one new keyboard shortcut, studying one concept from a professional development book, taking notes on one insight from a podcast, just one thing, every day. This micro habit is what's called micro-learning, and it's incredibly effective. Why? Because knowledge compounds. One article doesn't make you an expert, but 365 articles a year, that's expert-level education. Meanwhile, Tom would occasionally buy books he never read or sign up for courses he'd never finished. He had good intentions, but no system. Rachel's system was simple. 5 minutes of learning every day, no exceptions. After 5 years, she'd consumed over 1,800 pieces of educational content related to her field. She became known as an expert. People came to her with questions. She was the obvious choice for leadership roles, all from 5 minutes a day. Habit stack. Suggestion. After I eat lunch, I will read one industry article or watch one educational video. The network node. Here's Rachel's third micro habit, and this one surprised me. Reach out to one professional contact every week. Not networking events, not mass LinkedIn messages, one genuine personal connection per week. It could be sending a quick email to check in with a former colleague, commenting thoughtfully on someone's LinkedIn post, sharing an article with someone who'd find it valuable. Having a 10-minute coffee chat, virtual or in person, the key was consistency and authenticity. She wasn't networking to get something. She was building genuine relationships. And over 5 years, those relationships became invaluable. When a position opened up, someone thought of her. When she needed advice, she had trusted people to turn to. When she needed support on a project, her network showed up. Tom, meanwhile, only reached out to people when he needed something. His network was a list of LinkedIn connections who barely remembered him. Habit stack suggestion. Every Monday morning after I check my calendar, I will reach out to one professional contact. The priority compass. Here's a micro habit that transformed my own productivity. Every morning, write down your top 3 priorities for the day. Not 10, not 20. 3. What are the 3 things that, if completed, would make today a success? Write them down before you check email, before you get pulled into other people's urgencies. This creates clarity and intention. Instead of reacting to whatever comes at you, you're proactively deciding what matters. And here's the magic. Most days, you'll complete those 3 priorities. And even if you don't get to anything else, you've still had a successful day. This is how high performers operate. They protect their time for what truly matters. Habit stack suggestion. After I sit down at my desk, I will write down my top 3 priorities before doing anything else. The communication upgrade. Want to stand out professionally? Master communication. Here's a micro habit for written communication. Before sending any important email or message, read it out loud once. This catches errors, clarifies confusing sentences, and ensures your tone matches your intention. It takes 30 seconds and dramatically improves your professional communication. Here's a micro habit for verbal communication. In every meeting or conversation, ask at least one clarifying question. This shows you're engaged, helps you understand better, and often surfaces important information others missed. Habit stack suggestion. Before I hit send on an important email, I will read it out loud once. The skill sharpening. Here's a micro habit for deliberate skill development. Practice one core skill for 10 minutes every day. If you're in sales, practice your pitch for 10 minutes. If you're a writer, write for 10 minutes. If you're in design, sketch or design for 10 minutes. If you're a developer, code for 10 minutes. The specific skill doesn't matter. What matters is deliberate practice, focused effort on improving a specific aspect of your craft. Malcolm Gladwell popularized the 10,000-hour rule for mastery, but 10 minutes a day for 20 years is 1,200 hours. That's enough to become genuinely excellent at something. And unlike Tom, who waited for inspiration to strike before practicing, Rachel showed up for 10 minutes every single day. Habit stack suggestion. After my lunch break, I will practice my core skill for 10 minutes. The energy management. Here's something Rachel understood that Tom didn't. Productivity isn't about time management. It's about energy management. You can't manage time. Everyone gets 24 hours. But you can manage your energy. Rachel had a micro habit of taking a 5-minute break every 90 minutes. During these breaks, she'd stand up, walk around, get water, or step outside. She didn't check her phone or email. She truly disconnected. Why? Because research shows our brains work in 90-minute cycles. After 90 minutes of focused work, our attention and energy naturally decline. By taking strategic breaks, Rachel maintained high energy throughout the day. Tom, meanwhile, would work for hours without breaks, wondering why he felt exhausted and unproductive by 2 p.m. habit stack suggestion. After every 90 minutes of work, I will take a 5-minute break away from my screen. The feedback loop. Here's a micro habit that accelerates growth. Once a week, reflect on what worked and what didn't. Spend 10 minutes every Friday afternoon asking, what went well this week? What could I improve? What did I learn? What will I do differently next week? This creates a continuous improvement loop. Most people repeat the same patterns week after week, never stopping to analyze and adjust. Rachel constantly iterated. Tom stayed the same. Habit stack suggestion. Every Friday at 4 p.m., I will spend 10 minutes reflecting on my week. The career compounding. Here's what happened with Rachel. Her focused work sessions led to better results. Her daily learning made her more knowledgeable. Her consistent networking opened doors. Her clear priorities kept her on track. Her improved communication made her stand out. Her skill practice made her excellent. Her energy management kept her performing at a high level. Her weekly reflections kept her improving. None of these habits were dramatic. None required Herculean effort. But compounded over 5 years, they transformed her career. And my friend, they can transform yours too. Pick one micro habit from this chapter, just one. Make it so small you can't fail. Do it every day for 30 days, then add another. Your career isn't built in one grand moment. It's built in small, consistent actions, repeated over time. So start building. Chapter 9. The Connection Code. Micro Habits for Deeper Relationships. My friend, let me ask you something. What's the point of success if you're alone? What's the point of achieving your goals if the people you love feel distant? You can have the perfect health, the dream career, the financial security, but if your relationships are shallow or strained, none of it means much. Because here's the truth. We're wired for connection. Study after study shows that the quality of our relationships is the strongest predictor of happiness and longevity. Not money, not achievement, not even health, relationships. And yet, they're often the first thing we neglect. We tell ourselves we'll spend quality time with loved ones once things calm down. We assume the people close to us know we care. We let days, weeks, months pass without truly connecting. But here's the beautiful thing. Deep, fulfilling relationships don't require grand gestures or massive time investments. They require consistent micro habits, small intentional actions that show up, pay attention, and care. Let me show you how this works. The presence practice. Here's the most powerful relationship micro habit I know. Give someone your complete, undivided attention for 5 minutes every day. No phone, no TV in the background, no mental to-do list running through your head. Just you and them. Eye contact, active listening, present. It could be your partner, your child, your parent, your friend. The person doesn't matter as much as the quality of attention. 5 minutes doesn't sound like much. But when was the last time someone gave you their complete attention for 5 uninterrupted minutes? It's rare, and it's powerful. My friend David told me that implementing this micro habit saved his marriage. He and his wife had been drifting apart, not fighting, just distant. They were both busy with work and kids, and they'd stopped really seeing each other. So David committed to 5 minutes of complete presence every evening after the kids went to bed. No agenda, no problem solving, just sitting together, looking at each other, talking about their day, listening fully. The first week was awkward. They'd forgotten how to just be together without distraction. But by the 3rd week, those 5 minutes had become the highlight of their day. They started remembering why they fell in love. They started actually knowing each other again. 5 minutes. That's all it took to rebuild what they thought they'd lost. Habit stack suggestion. After dinner is finished and cleaned up, I will sit with my partner for 5 minutes of complete presence. The appreciation articulation. Here's a micro habit that transforms every relationship. Express genuine appreciation to one person every day. Not vague flattery. Specific, sincere appreciation, not "you're great." But "I noticed you took out the trash without being asked. That made my morning easier. Thank you." Not "love you." But "I appreciate how patient you were with me when I was stressed yesterday. It helped me calm down." Specificity matters. It shows you're paying attention. It shows the appreciation is genuine. And here's what happens. People feel seen, valued, loved. And when people feel appreciated, they show up differently. They're more patient, more generous, more connected. This creates a positive cycle in your relationships. I started doing this with my teenage daughter. Every day, I'd find one specific thing to appreciate about her. At first, she'd just shrug and say, "Thanks, Dad." But after a few weeks, she started doing it back. She'd notice things about me and express appreciation. Our entire dynamic shifted. We went from occasional conflict to genuine friendship. One micro habit, massive ripple. Habit stack suggestion. After I brush my teeth at night, I will text or tell one person something specific I appreciate about them. The question quest. Here's a micro habit that deepens every conversation. Ask at least one thoughtful question in every conversation, not surface-level questions. Deep questions that show genuine curiosity. Not, "How was your day?" but, "What was the best part of your day? What made it good?" Not, "How's work?" but, "What's challenging you at work right now? How are you thinking about it?" The quality of your relationships is determined by the quality of your conversations. And the quality of your conversations is determined by the quality of your questions. Most people don't listen. They just wait for their turn to talk. But when you ask thoughtful questions and genuinely listen to the answers, you're telling someone, "You matter. Your thoughts and experiences matter. I want to understand you." That's connection. I have a friend who's the most beloved person I know. Everyone wants to spend time with him. Everyone feels close to him. His secret? He asks amazing questions. And he listens like your answer is the most important thing he'll hear all day. Habit stack suggestion. During lunch conversations, I will ask at least one thoughtful follow-up question. The touch point. Here's a micro habit for maintaining long-distance relationships. Reach out to one person you don't see often once a week. A text, a voice message, a quick call, a handwritten note. Just to say, "I'm thinking about you. How are you?" No agenda, no need, just connection. Most friendships fade not because of conflict, but because of neglect. Life gets busy. People drift. But this micro habit prevents that drift. One message a week. That's 52 touch points a year. That's enough to maintain a genuine friendship. I have friends across the country that I rarely see in person, but we stay close because of this habit. A quick text, a voice note while I'm walking, a "saw this and thought of you" message. The relationships stay alive. Habit stack suggestion. Every Sunday morning, I will send a message to one friend I haven't talked to recently. The conflict micro reset. Here's a micro habit that prevents small frustrations from becoming big resentments. When you feel frustrated with someone, take 3 deep breaths before responding. That's it. 3 breaths creates a gap between stimulus and response. It gives you space to choose your reaction instead of being controlled by your initial emotion. In that gap, you can ask yourself, is this really worth a conflict? What outcome do I actually want here? How would I want someone to approach me if the situation were reversed? Often, that brief pause is enough to completely change how you respond. Instead of snapping, you speak calmly. Instead of attacking, you express your needs. Instead of escalating, you de-escalate. This micro-habit has saved countless arguments in my own relationships. Habit stack suggestion. When I feel myself getting frustrated, I will take 3 deep breaths before speaking. The memory maker. Here's a micro-habit for families. Create one small shared ritual every day. It could be a 5-minute dance party before dinner, reading one page of a story together before bed, sharing one good thing that happened during the day at dinner, a morning high five with each family member. These small rituals become the memories your kids carry with them forever. They won't remember most of the regular days, but they'll remember the rituals, the traditions, the moments you consistently showed up. My family has a ritual. Every evening before bed, we share rose, bud, thorn. Rose, something good from today. Bud, something you're looking forward to. Thorn, something challenging. It takes 5 minutes, but it's how we stay connected, how we know what's happening in each other's lives, how we support each other. 5 minutes, every night, for years. That's hundreds of hours of connection, thousands of shared moments. Habit stack suggestion. After we finish dinner, we will each share our rose, bud, and thorn from the day. The apology accelerator. Here's a micro-habit that heals relationships. When you realize you're wrong, apologize immediately. Don't wait. Don't justify. Don't defend. Just apologize. I was wrong. I'm sorry. How can I make this right? Ego keeps relationships distant. Humility brings them close. The faster you apologize when you're wrong, the less damage is done. The less resentment builds. This micro-habit requires swallowing your pride, but it's worth it. Habit stack suggestion. When I realize I made a mistake that affected someone, I will apologize within 1 hour. The love languages in microform. Dr. Gary Chapman identified 5 love languages. Words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and gifts. Here's a micro-habit. Do one small thing in your loved one's love language every day. If their language is words of affirmation, send one appreciative text. If it's quality time, give 5 minutes of undivided attention. If it's physical touch, give a genuine hug or hold their hand for a moment. If it's acts of service, do one small helpful thing without being asked. If it's gifts, leave a small note or surprise. One small action in their language every day. This keeps the connection strong. Habit stack suggestion. Before I leave for work, I will do one small thing that speaks my partner's love language. The relationship ripple. Here's what's beautiful about relationship micro-habits. When you improve one relationship, all your relationships improve. The skills you build, presence, appreciation, thoughtful questions, patience, transfer everywhere. You become better at connecting, better at loving, better at being human. And the ripple effect is extraordinary. When you're more present with your partner, your kids notice and feel safer. When you express more appreciation, people around you start doing the same. When you ask better questions, your friendships deepen. It all compounds. So, my friend, pick one relationship micro-habit. Choose one person you want to connect with more deeply. Commit to one small action every day for 30 days. And watch what happens. Because life isn't about what you achieve. It's about who you love and who loves you back. And that's built in micro moments, compounded over time.